So, good morning once again. As the descriptions of different people were being read out, I just realized we have more than a century. We have 120 odd years of experience here across retail, from pure online to various shades of omni to more brick and mortars. I'm sure we are going to have a great discussion. One of the prerequisites for having a great discussion is active participation from all of you. Okay, we were just together in the speakers room and we said one of the things which is going to make this a great discussion versus an average discussion is what is the number of questions that we get. Okay, so we are going to do something different than a normal panel discussion. So we are not just going to have each person talk and then Q&A. I'm going to just lay out what we are discussing today. So it's about borderless world, retailing, anytime, anywhere, anything. Okay. What does it mean? A few years back, buying something was a deliberate action. You decided you wanted to buy something. You went across the road or you traveled either in your moped, as Govind was saying, or your car. You went to a shop, you purchased something. As you were walking in the aisles, you may buy something else which caught your fancy. Today, you may be sitting here watching us, hopefully listening to us, and you realize that you want to buy something and you take out your phone or your tablet and you place an order or you research something. So it's the customer, the consumer today buying anytime, anywhere and getting it delivered as to her specification. So that's one theme, which is what's changing, how much is changing, is it different across segments, across categories, across geographies. So number one, what is really changing and is it different given any basis of segmentation that one can think of? Number two, what has been the response to the same? What is it that retailers have done differently in the stores? So what happens if you don't change anything from an electronic presence but you do your store different? What changes then? Versus you say, I'm actually going to start to make this seamless and I'm going to have an integrated offering. Or you say, actually, why should I spend money on real estate? I will do what Kapil has done, which is to have it only online. So what has been the response? And again, it can be across different spectrums. That's the second theme. The third is, as you think about this supply and demand, there are some things which have gone right, there are some things which have not gone so well. It may be about the cash burn rate for a set of players, it may be about loss of share of channel for another set of players, it may be about the ability to attract, retain talent, it may be around the issue of managing this integration of technology, anything. So the third bucket is about the challenges in order to get to that utopia of the borderless world. Okay. So those are the three themes that we are going to be talking about. Before I ask the different panelists to give their initial comments, I'm going to ask you, the audience, what are the questions on your mind? So we'll do the conventional Q&A at the end, but I just want to get a few questions out. What is it that you would want the panelists to talk about?
One observation and then a question, am I allowed? I would want this to be slightly holistic, like we are talking of being global citizens, borderless world, everything. And then at the same time, when I was driving to this hotel, radios were announcing why Steffi Graf should not be Kerala Ayurveda ambassador, and some obnoxious, racist kind of comments. I don't think that, so there has to be a holistic, otherwise retail wouldn't happen the way we want it to happen. Number two, we need very decisive stands. Even today, when the government representative, Mr. Dadu, he says that government has not yet decided. You decide whether you want FDI or you don't want FDI, and tell people that this is what we want, and you like it, you don't like it. This is our logic. After 1 year, if we have to say we are yet to take a decision, I really find that is this the pace? We are talking about big data and all that. And third, one question comes to my mind, pardon my ignorance. I am in milk industry. I am not understanding this discounting thing in online retail. Is it really a discount, or is this a subsidy where I am having to pay through some other route? Is there a future for this if this is not the right business model? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. The lady at the back.
I want to ask, how do we analyze our customers' behavior patterns? Yeah, and since we are all here, I guess since you've all come to a conference, so it only shows that brick and mortar people may not go to, but till we are still coming to a conference, this has not gone online. So I guess brick and mortar also stands a chance. We will also go to a shop one day to buy.
How to analyze customer behavior? Okay. Yes.
Good morning.
Okay.
I want to ask when will the Indian retailers go global? Do any of the people here on this panel want to really become global? So when is your next move to go outside the country?
Okay.
See, one is when are we going to go global? That is retailers, yeah. The other is the proportion of imports that we sell in India is very low because of a lot of reasons. Everyone is aware that a lot of imports are getting stuck, for whatever reasons, legal reasons, whatever. We sell mainly the local mill fabrics and all those things. There's a lot of variety available worldwide. There's very limited we offer to the customer here. So imports.
So sorry, what's your question?
So imports, percentage of imports, how can it rise, and how can we offer more variety to the customer? How can these be, relaxed? Those things.
Okay.
Making it borderless. That's what.
Last question, and then we'll. Yeah.
Hello.
The person.
Yeah, hi. This is more around the technology piece, and recently we've heard some of our online retailers moving from the computer interface to only tablet. Just wanted to understand your perspective, and is it a great move? For example, I feel that we still have a lot of people browsing and shopping on computers and laptops from offices, etc. How do you see it, and do you see this trend catching up, like shutting down the laptop and internet websites and moving completely on an app-based business?
Okay. So device, how is that changing?
It is. I mean, I think Jabong moved. They shut down their website, and they are completely on tablet now, only application-based business. So how do you see this trend?
Okay, great. So I think we've got a good starting list. This was just to be the appetizer. We are going to have the main course later. So that's fine. Just one comment I would have. I have been, and I'm sure many of the members of the panel have been, in multiple conferences where there's a question on regulation, etc. Right? This issue has been discussed, debated. Beyond a point, I don't think any of us on the panel can do anything about it. So, the only request I would have is the issue around regulation. I think there's been a lot of debate, discussion, which has been there. I think everybody understands the point that there needs to be a decision, but I don't think the group here can add anything more to that. Right? So let me start off the question, and I'd like to start with Govind, you, and Raman, you, talking about the piece which was around what really is changing from a customer side, and each of you brings a slightly different perspective from a category, etc. perspective. So what really is changing on the front side, and to the question that the lady asked, how do you think about analyzing customer behavior?
Sure. Great. I think we talked on data analytics earlier, so I don't want to touch up the same topic again. But when we look at a trend, so two big trends that we have seen in our retail chain. So 2001, when I look at our share of apparel versus non-apparel, it was 75-25. Today it is 60-40. So the big trend that has happened in India is people have started consuming accessories in a very big way. And the accessories is right from perfumes to skincare to home to watches to sunglasses. All these categories are exploding. While this is happening on the accessory side, if you look on the apparel side, and let's take two big categories, men's and women's. On the men's side, if I look back at 2000 to 2005, dominated by formal wear and Friday dressing. 2005 to 2010, Friday dressing actually moved out, and 2010 onwards, what we have seen is resurgence of what I call as a sports-inspired casual wear. So brands like Celio, Tommy Hilfiger, US Polo, all of them have really done pretty well. And we also seen established brands like Louis Philippe launching LP Riders, Aero launching Aero Sports, Van Heusen launching Van Heusen Sports as well. So that's a very big trend. So today, if you look around, you'll find that the sports-inspired casual wear is as large as the formal wear, as far as men's is concerned. The second big category that is growing very, very well in men's side as well as women's side is denim. Denim again we saw 2000, 2006, growing fast, slowing down. Last 3 years, fantastic growth across men and women as well. And the third biggest highlight has been ladies' western wear. Now, all of us know that Indian women wear more ethnic wear, more saris, but the growth of ladies' western wear last 5 years is actually more than 3 times. Every year growing at like to like more than 25 to 30%, and that has also resulted in consumption of ladies' handbags, skincare, as well as makeup, and makeup is growing again more than 200% over the last 3 years' time. So these are the trends that we keep on seeing, and whenever we see a trend, we go back and understand which are the customers who are changing, which are the customers who are not changing, and how do we really impact it through merchandise mix as well as assortment and brands, because at the center of a department store strategy, brands are a key player because they are the ones who deliver the product as well as the experience. So that's what we continue to do all the time in terms of tracking customer change and then going back and analyzing them specifically. Just like what we did in the shirt versus trouser, we also done a similar thing in kurtis versus that is mix and match versus the entire SKD. And we have again seen a trend that the kurtis are expanding much faster because it is much more all-round garment which can be used along with a trouser or a denim rather than a SKD which becomes one single piece at any point of time, whereas kurti can be used at multi-points. So that's what I would like to end this comment on. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
You're okay on the column.
I just need to use it. Okay. Few points I just want to make as far as the consumer side goes, right? So I think the first thing is, I mean, we spoke a lot about the omni-channel, I think earlier in the earlier sessions. It is here to stay. But I want to take a little bit of a different spin on that. I mean, you know, when we speak about omni-channel, you know, the discussion largely is around online versus offline and how that sort of resonates with the customer, right? I think the one sort of customer demand which is getting much more and more prevalent is that it's not just about online and offline, but even within the offline space or the bricks and mortar space, about the different channels that customers are wanting to engage with when they go shopping. So whether it's a convenience store, Abhik spoke about sort of the resurgence of the smaller formats, or the department store or the hypermarket that we are part of, or the local kirana guy. I think, you know, that's a trend that we are seeing, in which we are seeing a fragmentation of the spend of consumers. So in the earlier days, they used to come to our store and buy, you know, the entire monthly baskets of groceries. And now you're seeing that they come to the store and they do spend, a fair amount of money, but they also will go out to their convenience store and buy the fruits and vegetables on a weekly basis, and they might buy, their monthly staples with us on a monthly basis. So you're seeing this proliferation of choices, and omni-channel, not only from an online or offline, which of course everybody's spoken about, but also proliferation of channels and a resurgence of some of those channels that people thought were sort of, doomed to the graveyard, right? So for instance, the convenience store in America, which is also happening in India. So that's, I think, the first point that I just wanted to make as far as the consumer goes. The second point is a proliferation of choice and, the importance for retailers, at least for us, to help curate or select products for consumers, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have everything, I've seen ads of some of our, online competitors saying that they have 6 crore products and 12 crore, I don't know, whatever else, right? But, I think it's a job also of the merchandisers in organizations to be able to help curate, identify, and have a point of view on some of those products. So I think, that's one thing that's a challenge that we need to, face up to. But within the context of that, there is a proliferation of choices. And the other thing that we are seeing within the context of choices, the concept of trading up and trading down, where we are seeing consumers trade up for certain categories. So in apparel, they might go to a shopper's stop, to buy their apparel because they're trading up. However, in the same apparel context, if they're buying some of their basics or their innerwear or their, maybe a basic denim for work or something like that, they might actually trade down and go to a hypermarket like a, Star Bazaar or, something like that, right? So the consumer is constantly sort of in their own minds trading up and at the same time trading down so they can get their rupees going a little bit further, for them in that sense. And the last point as far as consumer choices go, I think, is sort of this whole concept of delivery. I think we are on the cusp of it. We are just sort of getting into it, which is that consumers are saying, listen, I want my product delivered to me in a various variety of ways, right? It could be, I will come to the store, shop, and you deliver it home, or I will come to the store and pick it up and take it home, or you will deliver it home and I will shop online, or I will shop online and I'll come to the store and pick it up, or a combination of all of them, or, I think the next craze is going to be this whole lockbox concept, which is going to come in India. In fact, a lot of delivery companies, online delivery companies today have started getting funding, and you have delivery companies which are doing food delivery and so on and so forth. So the concept of that last mile delivery, I think, and as an offering of choice to the consumer, is another sort of mega consumer demand that I see. So, fundamentally, those are, in my opinion, some of the key themes that I just wanted to sort of highlight over here before we get into it.
If I can just sort of comment on that. You mentioned about choice, and I think that was something that came up. Today, in 2 years, we have about 65,000 SKUs that we carry. And I think you're absolutely right in terms of actually saying, is that too much for the consumer? I think this is a core difference between sort of what platform strengths can give you when you have retail versus an e-commerce or online platform or tech platform. Because in a technology-oriented platform, you have ways of letting the consumer actually choose what they like and what they don't like, and therefore you're actually not limited in some sense by a strong level of curation. So that's just something that we find our consumers derive a lot of value in terms of actually having the largest choice available.
Right. Okay. So great. So I've heard so far on the first theme around the perspective of really mining data, what Govind was talking about. There's the point around some paradoxes, and I'm just going to rephrase them on what you said, right? There's a paradox of organized retail, but it's actually more convenience, which was earlier not the thing. The proliferation of choice not necessarily being a good thing. It could be good, it could be bad. And then there's a piece about the issue of last mile still is important, even though convenience and everything is there. So we have this interesting situation. Let me just ask Latif, you to comment on either the consumer, how you are seeing, or what is it that you have done in order to cater to the same? So Latif, first you, and then Rajiv, if you can comment.
Sure. Okay. So just to give you the context of eBay. So this year, eBay will complete, later this year, eBay will complete 20 years history. In India, we have just completed 10 years. And in these 10 years, what we've been able to achieve is a significant footprint. So we have 65,000 sellers on our platform. About 45,000 of them sell domestically, and about 20,000 sell cross-border. And that is one of the things that is the title of the session, which is borderless, that I wanted to talk about. So eBay has a presence globally in 206 countries, and we have 157 million buyers. And what we have been able to achieve in India is gear up these 20,000 sellers. To give you an example of what we have achieved in terms of velocity, so today every 10 seconds somebody in the world is buying a product from an eBay India seller. That's the velocity we have been able to achieve in 10 years.
And that 10 seconds is from eBay India seller?
Yes.
Okay.
So, we are able to we have been able to go to the nooks and corners of India. So we have presence, we have buyers and sellers in 4,500 towns and cities in India. And these are including 1,000 plus rural hubs. So we are talking about taking e-commerce and globalization and borderless e-commerce down to the towns and cities of India. And people in these cities who are artisans and craftsmen, it will surprise you to learn that the largest seller of microscopes on the eBay platform is selling out of Ambala. We have these sellers who are selling to an average of 31 countries. We have a wonderful seller in Dharavi who is selling leather jackets to 31 countries. He tells me that when he gets an order, he has to actually look up the map of the globe to see where the country is. But that's the borderless travel that we've been able to achieve. And in continuation of what Raman said and what you just said, the difference of the online platform is the selection. So in India, today we offer 3 crore SKUs. Globally, eBay offers 88 crore SKUs across these 206 countries. So we get the selection, we get the variety that obviously no brick and mortar is going to be able to achieve. But that's the difference that we are able to present in terms of online.
Okay. Rajiv?
Thank you.
I've noted a couple of questions which I'm going to come to after these initial comments.
Okay, I think there's a lot that's been said since morning in terms of technology and how the world is changing. And I think it's quite overwhelming as a retailer to actually realize that after having spent about 20 years in physical retail, the world is going to completely change. The CEOs of today are 25-year-olds and 24-year-olds. So actually there is absolutely no barrier that one would have said maybe 10, 15 years ago, which is existing anymore, right? So I think the challenge is there. All of us are looking at this challenge. It is quite mammoth, but it's a big opportunity. It's a huge opportunity according to us. Because just to give you just a perspective of our brand, Celio actually is a 30-year-old brand in France. It is the largest menswear brand in France today. If you take that position in France, actually you don't need to really advertise or talk to customers about brand Celio. Everybody knows Celio, including the cabbie who drives me from the airport to the office there, wears a Celio jacket. So everybody wears Celio. Cut that off, bring to India, you come to a situation wherein barring brands like say maybe a Zara, which is largely promoted by Economic Times and Business Standard, actually they also do not advertise, but they still have a clear visibility even before they come into the market. IKEA, I think everybody worth his salt knows IKEA today without them opening one store in the country. So if we look at our kind of challenge, we are saying the fact that we at one point have created a €1 billion brand somewhere in some part of the world. How do we translate that into India with such complex retail related issues? Small little thing when I'm talking about is the infrastructure itself. If you want to grow 200 stores next year, which are those 200 malls that you're going to open those stores in? It's a simple question in India, but in France 500 stores are possible. With a country of 64 million people, that's possible. So let me take you through the kind of journey that we are going through over the last few years and saying the fact that how this reshaping of the world is really going to help us in some form. We started a small project. Actually, this came as a brainwave saying the fact that we have about 200,000 customers in India who are regular customers of Celio. Our advocacy rate amongst these customers is almost 90%. Okay, so which means it's still a very small population, but probably it can kind of explode from there. So we actually started off a small little pilot across stores, which I think is very common internationally, but something that we are doing domestically. Today, all our store managers across the country have linked inventory. So each one of the store manager has access to intercity, intracity inventory, and whenever a customer comes in and says, say for example 10% chance that I do not have a size of a particular product, the customer is able to ask the salesperson at the store, the salesperson is able to go to the cash till, make a single click transaction to shift inventory from one part of the country to another. So what I'm saying is, with limited inventory, with limited physical space, we can actually reach out to the inventory of whichever part of the country and are able to transact with consumers. What it actually does for us is maybe a 10 to 15% potential increase in terms of turnover with limited physical space. Second is the fact that brand building in India is a very, very expensive proposition. You know, if you go the traditional route of what the Maduras and the Arvinds did over the last 20 years, it will take me a while before I start spending that kind of money in the market to actually build brand Celio. So what we are saying is the fact that let me just leapfrog that process. Let me just go beyond print media, let me go the traditional TVC media and stuff like that. Let me start talking to the guy who is using his mobile, and all of us sitting right here, right now are carrying that smartphone in your hand. Small little experiments with things like Facebook targeting. Just a small example, over the last about 4 months, spending just about 14 lakhs of rupees in terms of spend on Facebook targeting. We have been able to reach 1 crore customers in terms of impressions. Now I'm saying there could be multiple impressions that are needed to get the customer, but still, if you see the cost of one advertisement in the Times of India today, cost may be much more than 14 lakhs of rupees. Just to give you a perspective of how you could use technology and reach out to a larger mass, larger audience much quicker, and in a country as complex as India where somebody was mentioning 13 core cities, I mean advertise in 13 core cities through traditional media, it's a hugely expensive proposition. So that's the second thing. And third is, you know, what are we...
Okay. So, sorry, just to interrupt, I just want to build on the couple of things that you said, right? So, you've actually moved the discussion to the second and the third point as well, right, which is around what is it that you have done as a company, as well as, you know, some of the challenges which are there. You are in the apparel space. Jamshed, if you were to take the three and pick your favorite of the three.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll pick all three. The fact of the matter is that this whole debate on offline and online, and the comment that that lady made that, oh, brick and mortar still has a chance, is a hogwash debate. There is nothing like offline company and online company. Basically, there are good companies which are well managed and not good companies which are not well managed. And good companies which are well managed will look at their core value proposition, whatever be the core value proposition, and see how technology can aid that core value proposition for it to be a competitive strength in the market. Poor companies will not do that, and instead of developing a core value proposition, will focus on technology or any such other method as an end in itself to try and achieve what they are seeking to achieve. And I think therein lies the rub. The hype around online is required for people to pour in money, without a doubt. But the core value proposition, so you sell jewelry online. The fact that it is online is not why it is selling. The fact that it is good jewelry is why it is selling, and the technology is allowing you to reach out to people whom you would have not otherwise reached out. There are many ways to reach out to people, mind you. This is one of them. You know, in early 1990s, we were looking at implementing ERP. And at that time, ERP was touted as the be-all and end-all. You know, either you are an ERP company or not an ERP company. Unfortunately, there were 3 companies who pitched to us. Fortunately, we chose SAP because the other 2 closed down. And it took me 1 year to convince my management to implement ERP. Now today ERP is par for the course. Nobody even asks, are you ERP, are you not ERP, this, that. So technology enables companies to evolve. But good companies have a proposition which they keep evolving using technology, and not so good companies don't do that. And to my mind, so the second richest man in the world is the owner of Zara. Try and buy Zara online. Aldi and Lidl, who are shaking the world, if you see the personal owner's wealth, and they are in a UK market which is declining, Aldi and Lidl are growing at 25%. In a market which is supposed to be very advanced in terms of grocery online, 10% of the UK market is grocery online. You wanted a global perspective, I'm giving it to you. 10% after so many years, grocery home shopping is online, and Aldi and Lidl, which are pure offline retailers, pure offline, terrible service, are growing at an extremely rapid pace in a negative growth market. So it is not about technology as an end in itself, it's about the value proposition. And if you have a value proposition, so eBay has a value proposition. So I was just comparing, and the problem is that because Amazon is what it is, or touted to be what it is everybody sort of thinks that Amazon equals to online, and online therefore, and brick and mortar don't have a chance. You take the top 100 brick and mortar retail companies, then take the top 100 e-commerce retail companies and add up the bottom line. Amazon has been in the market for 20 years. 2014 turnover has still not crossed 100 billion, and they can access the world. They can access the world. Any corner of the world Amazon can access. Walmart, which is in US, the turnover is still 300 billion. Amazon has 156,000 people on its rolls. Walmart, whose turnover is 4.5 times that of Amazon, has only 2.2 million people on its rolls. So it is not about online or offline. It's about good companies who look at opportunity offered by the market, offered by technology, offered by social media, and there are not so good companies who don't do a good job of that, and therein lies the rub. So to my mind, it is not about which is better or not better, it's just about how smarter you are in leveraging what is available to create a competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage could be good quality jewelry, high variety. That competitive advantage could be reach. But the value proposition, you have to reach with something. Sure. And that value proposition is not good enough. So Shoppers Stop is a profitable business because the value proposition is profitable. Not because they are offline or online. Offline and online technology has to form an integral part of the value proposition.
So, Jamshed, thank you. I think we are going to have a lot of questions after this.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, I suppose. Yeah. The whole point of view coming here. And
so, I have one question for you. Sure. So, you talked about the value proposition being strong, and the one question I would ask to each of the panelists, and you can choose to answer it now or slightly later, is if you consider your categories or broad areas that you operate, in India today, what do you think that the consumer or a set of consumers want? What's a good value proposition? And obviously it's not a one size fits all. For different segments it may be different. But what is an attractive segment, and who do you think besides your company, okay, so you can't pick your company, is doing a good job of the same? It could be, different category, different country, but...
You're asking me the question? See, yes. I'll tell you what, in a country of 1.2 billion, there is so much of variety available that you can create multiple value propositions. Let's take a case of Zara, since someone mentioned Zara. What's the value proposition of Zara? It's you will travel for miles to go to a Zara store. You will suffer incredible inconvenience when Zara launches a sale or when Shoppers Stop launches a sale. You will stand in very queues at the checkout counter because you want Zara. So when it comes, it's like when you go abroad and there is a supermarket chain called Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. Stunning offering. You know, question of Whole Food online and all that. People who want Whole Foods will go to Whole Foods, and you can spend a day out there in a 10,000 square foot store. So, creating of the value proposition, irrespective, in the same product category, with the same set of consumers, you can create multiple value propositions, and you can have various companies playing the game in the same space. To my mind, if you are asking me which company has created a great value proposition, look at DMart. It's a straight example in the food business where they have created such a strong value proposition that on a weekend you can't enter the store. Now some people don't like it, so they don't go to DMart. But as long as there are enough customers of DMart who like it, for them it's a great value proposition.
So if I look at the different, so I'm just trying to draw a pattern here. So you're saying, actually if you look at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, there is a attractive segment which is actually looking at curated, organic, whatever.
Well, they're not only organic, but yeah, there is a segment.
Curated segment. Yeah. And then on the other end of the spectrum, in some sense, you have discount as a big opportunity. Kapil.
So what we've seen, and so I'll just address two quick things here. One is global. Someone talked about global. We fundamentally think that India today, just given sort of where we are from a technology standpoint, from a skill standpoint, we are starting to get companies which are originating in India and truly becoming global product companies, global service companies. So I don't think it's up to us, it's up to our ambition, up to our vision, where we say how soon do we want to embrace global. But the world is ready for it, guys. So it's up to us to actually take that leap and move there as quick as we can. On the customer value proposition, Abhi, what we find, when we started the company, we found that what consumers don't get in this space of jewelry is really exactly what they want. There was a customer who came to us and said, look, it's my 9th anniversary, I love a design on your site, but it has 8 diamonds. Can I get a 9th one? And the ability to be able to serve that consumer in the same time period, with the same preciseness and the same willingness, taking that request as a first-class citizen, is actually what our value proposition is. Okay. And that's where we use 3D printing to really up the experience or enhance the experience of the consumer to get exactly what they want and not settle for what a retailer may have in their inventory because that's what they carry. So our proposition is we move consumer back, not product forward.
Yeah, but this is an interesting case because even a brick and mortar retailer can offer the same service. So it's not about online or offline. It's about offering a unique proposition which some other guy does not have. Nothing prevents a brick and mortar retailer to have an IT terminal in there, where the guy says, okay, you want this, I'm sending a message to my factory, they'll print it and give it to you. So
the incentive is different.
No, maybe. So, I'm saying it's a great value proposition, but I'm saying that it has nothing to do with being offline or online. That's the point. That's the point.
The model is different, and therefore, you know, that's what we have found as our core value proposition as we think about consumers.
Rajiv?
Okay, I mean, we are talking about customization, but I think mass commoditization also is happening in the world. So examples like H&M or examples like Zara, I would not say so much because it's a little more premium, but Uniqlo, for example, is the fact that they are saying that fashion is something that people no longer want for reasons of the same as what they did in the past. So in the past it was durability of product, where you actually keep merchandise with you for 5 years and 6 years. Even in India it was quite, quality means how much does it last. But today quality doesn't mean how much does it last. Does it give you that sense of fashionability at that particular moment? And does it keep changing pace with what's actually happening in the world? So the consumer is global, customer is able to see fashion around the world in front of him through the internet, through the mobile phone, and is he able to access that fashion today through a Zara, through an H&M, through a Uniqlo, basics for that matter in the case of Uniqlo. So I think these are brands which are able to create value only because of the fact that they have realized that customers' proposition of value has changed and they have been able to change with time. So I think that's basically my view.
Latif, Raman, Govind, anyone?
So I'll give an example. So you know what we stand for, as I mentioned earlier, is borderless commerce, along with selection and convenience. So I mentioned earlier we have 3 crore product listings in India, and sort of giving an example of convenience. some of that supply that we have is not located in this country. So this is supply that is available in the US. But when a customer goes to eBay India and looks at that product, they are shown a pricing in rupees which includes customs plus logistics. So what we are bringing is the global selection to the Indian customer with convenience, and the pricing that you see is the pricing to the doorstep. So all the hassles of customs and sort of logistics and shipping is taken care of by the platform and by the partners that we have who are facilitating the borderless commerce.
Interesting. So you're saying it's transparency plus convenience, but convenience not only from a perspective of, you get it faster or closer, but an overall.
Exactly. It's the selection and convenience combined.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you spoke about actually a couple of examples that I wanted to speak about, which is Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. And you also spoke about DMart, which I wanted to speak about. So sorry. So I have to pick up something else, right? So I'm going to pick up something that is more generic, right? Which is the concept of the Kirana Wala. I think that they are offering a fantastic value proposition, which, when I moved, I'll give you an example. When I moved back from America, I, called downstairs. And I said, my son had a flu or something, so I said, can you send us some tablets, So the guy comes upstairs with a set of Crocin tablets and a pair of scissors and says, kitna chahiye? I mean, how are you going to match, how are we modern retailers going to match that, that sort of proposition, right? So I think, the ability to understand customer needs and requirements and personalize that, you spoke about sort of massification, but also the other side of it, which is personalization of that, those unique wants and requirements, and to be customer-centric and customer-focused, to be able to sort of,
CRM
to the complete next level. So, so we speak about sort of all of us being amazing, having differentiated value proposition and all that. I think, and that's why I'm fundamentally of the belief that this whole argument around sort of will, the big organized retailers and FDI and retail have such a huge impact on the local Kirana guy, and my argument is absolutely not. We cannot do half the things that they can do, right? And they have a very compelling value proposition, and if we can find some of those learnings and bring them into our business, I think we'll be superb in
just taking a thought forward. So there is a lot of these micro market players who are coming in, who deliver grocery within 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And so we are talking to one such player. She said, wow, she said, look, I'm pure online play, and I don't do anything. I pick up and I drop. So we said, okay, fine, you can deal with us, but we will not send you fresh, because that's our USP, so we will not give you fresh product. And what are you doing about fresh product? So he said, actually that's a problem. It is inconsistent quality is the problem in fresh product. So, we are going to set up our own fresh centers. So I said, that means you'll pay rent. It'll be physical. Yes, but you're an online player. I said, yeah, but I can't help it, because I will not be able to deliver to the customer a value proposition that the Kirana is delivering if I don't give good quality fresh. And that is one thing I cannot guarantee. A pack of biscuit is a pack of biscuit. That is I can guarantee. So once again in his value proposition now, which started off as a pure online play, because he is not able to satisfy the consumer demand, he has to now set up a whole logistics system around fresh. And then, his so-called venture capital investors say, yeah, wait, we thought you were an online player, this, that and the other. So that's the point I'm trying to make, that, creating a value proposition should come ahead of saying that I'm going to use this technology, and then find that you cannot deliver to consumers. And this is a live case. This conversation happened yesterday. Govind.
I would say it's a combination. I think I agree with most of the points, but when I compare, in every market, customers have different aspirations and different affordability value. So in the same market where Aldi is gaining share, Waitrose is still able to hold its share, and it's at the high end. In the same market where Primark is growing by leaps and bounds, Selfridges is able to hold its share. So the question really is, what is the proposition to the customer? And we can clearly still see that the luxury guys are still doing very well, and when you look at LV and other brands, they continue to do well because they held on to their proposition very, very well. The confusion lies that I am Shah Rukh Khan, but I want to become Ranbir Kapoor. I am Ranbir Kapoor, but I want to become Ranveer Singh. Then you are a confused man. Maybe you will be called Ranveer Shah Rukh Singh. And that's not what the customer is looking for. The customer is coming to see Ranveer Singh as Ranveer Singh and Shah Rukh Khan as Shah Rukh Khan. So be yourself, strengthen yourself. If you don't have a differential today, build it up the right way by understanding consumers and create the proposition. I think as Jamshed mentioned, your proposition is what should drive you in the long term. It doesn't matter which market you are playing, how you are playing, and technology is only one way of accessing the customer and not the be all and end all.
Okay, good. So I'm going to come to one question which was there around, I think the gentleman who was sitting here asked around discounts and cash burns, right? So I think everybody, I mean, it's very difficult to argue with the fact that, you know, you need to have a good value proposition. I mean, it's like saying that the way to make money is to, you know, buy low and sell high. Right? The question I have, and this is the argument which was against organized retail also in the initial years, to say, you know, nobody is making money. So how is that different from what's happening right now on online? So discounts, are they necessarily good, bad? And you know, to the specific question that the person asked, is this sustainable? And I'll start with Kapil, you know, you being one of the representatives of the online world here, is that is that a fact? B, is that sustainable? C, what's the way ahead?
Sure. So, A, is it a fact? I think it's a choice, it's not a fact. Every company, like Jamshed was mentioning, right, good company, bad company, every company has its own philosophy of what they're bringing to the customer, what's the value proposition. Is it a discounting proposition? I think price is actually one of the easiest levers to drive up short-term demand, which is where you actually start seeing a lot of discounting happening, because there's a lot of pressure coming from venture capital investors to grow top line. And that is what drives a lot of online discounting. In the case of Velvet Case, we actually we started with a philosophy of no discounts at all and bringing the right product at the right price from a value perspective to the consumer. We in the middle, we got swayed by saying, you know what, if let's try discounting, because all digital marketers, bar none in this country came and told us that unless you actually start giving discounts, people will not buy. So we had a 6-month period where we did that as a pilot, and we tried and said, look, let's try discounting. And it did not actually it did not move the needle far enough for us, where we said that's actually making a significant difference in terms of a revenue upswing. And so we've actually moved back to our philosophy of core value pricing as compared to lowest price or discounted price. We try and build a proposition of saying, since we don't have inventory, since we don't have retail overheads, we are actually, we are attacking the cost part of the equation, and therefore are bringing you better value when you think about a product and giving you exactly what we want. So I think, long answer to your question, I think it's a choice that a company has to actually either agree to, not agree to, follow. And I think if you're following that, then you're actually going after and saying you need to have really deep pockets, because you don't know when will that burn need to stop, when will the customer lifetime value, which is the sort of the key term that all investors talk about, when will that turn positive in your time?
So do you agree that the American pension funds are subsidizing the Indian
massive
middle class?
transfer of wealth?
You know, on a lighter vein, I am going to get a technology which scans all these online sales, seeing absurd prices, buy them, and every once in a month have a garage sale.
So that technology
and put 10% on top of it and make a lot of money. And thank the American pension funds for that. They call it also American pension fund subsidized retail.
You call it the garage sale.
Yeah, and in a more serious note, taking from what he says, see, either price is required to make someone walk into the door, or price is a strategic proposition. There are two ways of doing it. If price is a strategic proposition, then you must be able to have a sustainable cost advantage.
Yeah.
If you don't have a sustainable cost advantage, price cannot be a... So like we take the example of DMart. DMart has a fantastic sustainable cost advantage in the way they have set up the company. So it is a cost advantage. If you are using price to get a person into the door, that's great, but once he's into the door, there must be something which you must have as a competitive advantage. Now it is again only price, and you don't have a cost advantage, it is not a sustainable business model. Now just because the world has a lot of wealth does not make it a sustainable business model. That's absolutely and totally the basic principle of business. If for example you can buy diamonds a lot cheaper than anyone else in the market, and thereby you discount your jewelry compared to the market, that is using price as a sustainable advantage, then by all means, whether you're online, offline, real time, you do that.
Okay.
If it's not, then you have an issue.
I realize we are running short of time, and so there is one question, and I'll ask Raman, you and Rajiv to comment on that. Is there was a couple of questions in terms of the device, so what's happening, whether it's the mobile, whether it's the tablet, or whether it's physical. You talked about, Raman, in terms of the change within the brick and mortar format itself. Any quick thoughts on, do you see that changing? How does it impact?
So I mean, I think there's been a lot of discussion on this mobile, first strategy of Jabong, and I think even Myntra has gone to it. And the question is, what is it going to continue to play out that way, right? I guess that was really the question. I think I was just reading a statistic the other day that something like 50% of shoppers in the UK used a mobile device when in the store to check prices. Or got a coupon or something related to, to their actual shopping experience within the store, within the bricks and mortar store, right? So I think, mobile devices, whether it's a mobile phone or whatever, is here to stay for sure. And the trend is going to continue to sort of move towards that direction. I'm not able to forecast whether it will completely, eliminate the traditional sort of brick, click, the PC or whatever you want to call that device. But fundamentally it seems like there's lots of companies that are sort of starting with this mobile first philosophy, and that trend is going to continue to accelerate in my opinion.
Rajiv, you guys must have seen this across different countries, right?
Yeah. So I can add value over here. So eBay was early to the mobile m-commerce game as well. To date, I think we have had about so we have basically our site as well as mobile web as well as apps on both Apple and Android. To date, globally, we have had about 266 million downloads of our apps. In India, about 44% of our traffic comes from a mobile device. So customers shopping either on a smartphone or a tablet, and that's not rocket science. If you look at the Indian market, right? This is a market which less than 50 million PCs, but nearly a billion phones. So a lot of people, their first exposure to technology and online shopping is going to happen through a mobile device. Obviously, there are different characteristics of the mobile device which are sort of pros and cons. Smaller screen size, the physical limitation, but the fact that that device is always with you. So that gives you unprecedented power to connect with the customer. So we love mobile, we have embraced mobile in a big way, but from a strategy perspective, we see mobile first as a strategy. We don't foresee
mobile
eBay.
only.
Yeah, no, mobile first.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, Myntra. So Myntra is the one that has gone to mobile only. For eBay, we don't see as going towards that because we don't want to restrict the behavior of our customers to a particular device. They may prefer browsing on the phone, but they may actually prefer, going to a PC and actually making the transaction once they have seen the product on a bigger screen. So while mobile first is a strategy that we have, mobile only is not something that we will be going towards.
Just a week on a lighter note, you have offline, online, now you have online and mobile.
You know, keep on
Yeah,
segmenting
go deeper
as
and
many
deeper and
times as
deeper.
you want. Okay, so we've got about 20 minutes left. I'm going to throw the floor open for questions. Three quick things. Now, one, please, as you are asking the question, in less than a sentence, please introduce yourself. Number two, please don't make comments, etc. Number three, please ask a question. And right, many times there's a desire to share your thoughts. I think there'll be a break to help facilitate that. So please ask your question, keep it short, and if there is a specific person that you want to answer, please ask who.
My name is Shuvendu Roy and I work for Titan. My question is to Mr. Govind Srikhande and Mr. Jamshed Dabu. Both of you all know my company fairly well. My question is, sir, what can a brick and mortar store do to be still relevant to customers? Because large number of customers are going the online way. Our business model is franchise business model. Number two, do you also see that since there will be some dip in business in brick and mortar stores, that there will be rental corrections in high streets or in malls? As brick and mortar retailers, how would you deal with this kind of a situation?
Yeah, see, you're from obviously a very progressive company, which is Titan. Why do you consider yourself as a brick and mortar company? That's the first question. You got a set of consumers. If your consumers prefer you to do, first of all, you got product, which is why your people are coming to you. They're not coming to you because you've got shops and don't have shops. They're coming to you because you've got great product. Now, if you feel that there are other ways of reaching that product to consumers, by all means do so. Your job is not to make an individual franchisee survive. Your job is to make your company grow. And if you feel that this is not the route to make the company grow, but there is another route to make the company grow, I think you should adopt it. So the point I'm trying to make is that unless there are some severe restraints, companies should not consider themselves as brick and mortar or online. Once again we come back to value proposition. Your value proposition is you've got a stunning range of high quality watches. How do you take that stunning range of high quality watches to your consumers is the challenge. If it's through franchise, it's fine. If it's through selling through Shoppers Stop, it's fine. If it's selling online, it's fine. Embrace. And if you embrace, you'll be better off. If you still see yourself as brick and mortar versus the next guy, well, then that's an issue. And one of the things in that is you should not hesitate to shut down a store if that's what it is. You know, if you feel that consumers are buying someplace else, no harm in doing that. That would be my response.
Yeah, just to add on that point, if I look back at Titan's journey itself, and we have had a great partnership with Titan and we strongly believe in the company, its philosophy and its management. Look at what you yourself have done about Fast Track. So if you look at Fast Track sales, Fast Track was a no brand 10 years back. It's almost equaling Titan sale now. And that's really understanding the aspiration of the youth, creating a product for them at a given price point. And that's been your response, and I think you have the talent, you have the management bandwidth to really respond. And going ahead, brands have to be channel agnostic. That's exactly the point. That you have to embrace all the channels, look at which is going to ride faster and really invest behind it and take it up. And I'm sure you're already working on that part. And the second question on high street rentals, given what is India, where land is really controlled, and when land is controlled, especially when you look at big malls that are successful, which are out of 400 malls in India, let's say only 25 or 30 of them are really successful, there's no reduction in rent anywhere. In fact, if you look at the top 5 malls right now, there's a big churn happening between the key players and the new players. The key players seem to be moving out or getting reduced, and new players are coming into the same mall. So I'm not able to see any pressure on rentals. In fact, rentals are only increasing because the supply side of malls and real estate is only drying up right now. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Next question.
Versus tie up with eBay or some other online. What would your choice be based on the 40
No, there is no analysis behind it. Basically, there is a three-pronged strategy we are looking at. One is omni-channel, and when I say omni-channel, it is not only about my own site, but also being available in marketplaces. So that's number one strategy. Number two is leveraging our loyalty program. So for example, the example that he gave of the 9th anniversary, I already know the 10th anniversary. I can actually offer to the same customer a lot of things on the 10th anniversary, apart from the jewelry, everything that I am retailing. So that is something I would leverage out of my loyalty program. Third, we believe is, at the end of the day, your proposition needs to be different, and we clearly believe in curated proposition. So can we make our exclusive brand stronger, our private brand stronger, and can that be the differential? So there is not one single strategy, it's a multi-fold strategy. And going ahead, we clearly see that the number of physical retail stores are going to drop, but the physical retail store is also going to be a pivot for our omni-channel servicing. So it's going to be these three strategies which will take us to the next level. And that's what we believe will really take us to the heart of the consumer, near to the consumer, and at the same time, they can shop anywhere, anytime, anyhow. That's the strategy.
Yeah, hi, this is Amit from Piramal Healthcare. This is open to anyone in the floor. So what we understand is there are various means in which a consumer can buy, right? Online, offline, or mobile. And primarily the value proposition needs to be the critical thing. One question which comes to mind is, rather than looking them in silos, do you all think collaborating? So can we have Shoppers Stop collaborating with eBay or with Flipkart in future? And wherein actually on Flipkart, there is opportunity where we buy Shoppers Stop clothes or anything else as a store. What's your view on that? And as well from eBay's point of view, rather than looking at competition. And internationally, are there any examples on these lines which you all like to share?
So Rajiv,
I can take that. So the good news is Shoppers Stop is
already
selling on eBay. So we are already partnering, and that is the business model that eBay has. So we are an open marketplace, so we don't have our own warehouses, we don't have our own supplies, but we actually work with brick and mortar retailers to bring them online. And the advantage to what the lady was asking earlier also is significant. So we have sellers who have a shop in Chandni Chowk. Earlier, he could only sell within that neighborhood or, just an extended geography. But again, because of being on the eBay platform today, while having a shop in Chandni Chowk, he is selling to 206 countries. So eBay is a very partner-centric model. So we don't have the supply. We work with brick and mortar, and we let them set their own prices. So we don't even dictate to our sellers what their pricing strategy should be. Govind, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think collaboration is the way ahead for sure. And I think each one of us can learn from each other, because we believe that the online players are technology guys, whereas we are merchants who are trying to become online. I don't think, as I mentioned earlier, we can't play double roles here. We have to play the core role that we exist. So we are a retailer. We should take help of technology, whether it is eBay or Snapdeal or Flipkart, and work collaboratively to finally reach the customer, because the ultimate goal is to satisfy the customer. The model you should be completely non-agnostic.
Okay. And just to add to that again, in terms of the platform, the eBay platform is the same platform where we have a Shoppers Stop and we have the shopkeeper from Chandni Chowk. So they are both using the same platform, which is agnostic of the size also.
I'd just like to add one more thing. See, we talk so much about price. Of course, with the gross merchandise value being one of the key factors to actual investments, it is the method of discounting which is driving sales. But I think I've heard from almost all partners, because we partner with almost all the marketplaces at the moment, that everybody in intention wants to reduce the level of discounting, and in practice some of them are already doing some level of partnership with brands, not just locally but globally. So for example, Celio actually has a stake. The owners of Celio have a stake in Rocket Internet, and the products of Celio are sold in all sister companies of Rocket Internet internationally. So you have Zalando, Zalora, Jabong, everything. It's actually being sold through that. So that's one way. Second is, even in India, they have made the product, the international product, being accessible to the Indian consumer, one of the criteria that they want to do in terms of partnership. So we are able to actually bring in products from Hong Kong, which is a much larger assortment that I am not keeping in India, but sold only exclusively through a partner who wants to really partner and bring that product, and that's a no discount product. So today the e-commerce partners also wanting to bring some differentiation, wanting to bring some value proposition, and they are asking for the global range to be brought into India and actually being sold. So I think the way forward is that. So obviously there is discounting today, obviously there is customer acquisition today, but maybe over a period of time, I think it's going to lead to what we are calling as a value proposition, really.
There's one thing I'll add here, Ravi, which is, we talk about consumer trends. The consumer is becoming more and more heterogeneous. And as the consumer is becoming more and more heterogeneous, that is what is driving the fact that you want global merchandise, you want global designs to come in, you want that borderless trade or borderless retail to happen. We've taken a similar approach to eBay, except for the fact that we do jewelry as a category only, and we say we become specialists in jewelry. But we actually do partner with brick and mortar. So if you think about Anmol Jewelers, Meenawala, we're saying that look, we are going to be the best at technology, marketing and customer service. That's our core proposition. But you have the product, you have the details. We'll help you actually build your online store so you're not getting into something which you don't know about.
Okay. Last couple of questions.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Abhijit. I'm a part of the Hypercity team. Well, since we are talking about trends in retail, we all heard about omni-channel for customers, where customer has a choice to buy from wherever or whatever, whenever. Are we also looking at, in the future, an omni-panel for retailers, whereby, the customer is given the confidence of price, so no matter where he is buying from, he is assured that, that he'll be getting the best price or one price, a uniform price from wherever he buys. But he looks at the value adds or the experience. Currently what is happening is we are, the organized retail industry is just 10 to 15% of the total retail in India.
Sorry, your question, if I can.
Yeah.
Cut
so
short.
my question is, can we look at a panel of retailers, a omni panel, where we give the customer confidence of you will get a uniform price, I will give you an experience or other value adds or any other value proposition apart from price.
So, I mean, just before whoever wants to take that, price matching actually is a fairly common phenomena in some markets. UK,
very common in UK.
Yeah, it's in European market it is very common.
It is not possible. You can't say take price out of the equation. Hey, let's all get together and take price out of the equation. Out of the question. And the only sufferer will be the consumer. And immediately, that is the whole idea of the free market. The free market is that different models will allow for different strategies. So you cannot, it is not possible to do what you're doing.
Though
the word omni may be common, nothing else is common in the two approaches.
This is also called cartelization.
Yeah.
That's different.
So you can't be in a cartelization because you have to give a choice.
Okay. I think I can comment on one piece over there. So just to give sort of more color to what you asked, when merchants are selling on the eBay platform, price is just one of the aspects. Our buyers rate our sellers, and the feedback score that the seller has is they treat it very religiously, and they are proud of it. I mean, over 10 years, if they have a certain feedback score, they sometimes, tout that out, saying this is the number of feedbacks I've received, positive feedback. So that is part of the equation when people are buying from a seller on eBay. They're looking at the price, but they're also looking at the feedback score of the merchant to see if that's the merchant they trust in doing business with.
Okay. So now I'm caught in a situation where there's 6 minutes, there's 6 panelists. Could I ask you all to make 1 minute? What's one summary takeaway, one theme that you want to leave with the audience? Because I've been asked by the organizers to close in 6 minutes. So, Kapil, start with you.
Yeah, so I'll actually say as a retailer, we have to be completely consumer focused, irrespective of what the channel is. Embrace what the consumer wants and build your business that way.
Second. I also second it. The only comment I would make is watch the 4 mega trends, embrace disruption for sure, and don't get worried. These are exciting times. Let me tell you and assure you, these are exciting times. Don't get worried about competition. Don't get worried about FDI or non-FDI, focus on our customers, just go all out to satisfy them.
I think focus on your own business model rather than the business model of the e-commerce companies would save a lot of time and maybe help you be profitable as a company. But on a maybe more serious note, I think mobile and social are a reality. I think all of us need to embrace it. Whichever way in whichever element of our business we are able to bring it in, it's a big opportunity for all of us.
I think what I want to say is that, we spoke a lot about omni-channel, right? And a lot of times we sit in conference rooms and we, speak about the latest buzzword and we walk away from here and, and then we go back to the same work that we've been doing all our lives, right? So the point I want to make is actually this is, a disruptive thing that's happening, going back to what Govind was saying. And you have to actively embrace it. That's my opinion, right? So it's not like, we give a little bit of lip service and say we've opened a website and we've partnered with somebody else that can do a bit of delivery. But I think, up and down your entire organization, you're going to have to think about, what the implication of what omni-channel means. I just saw a statistic the other day which said that 64% of all CEOs in the UK have commented or at least believe that the single biggest driver for growth for them, and as Jamshed mentioned, the UK is a negative growth environment, the single biggest driver for growth for them in the next few years is their ability to deliver the promise of this quote-unquote omni-channel. And so I think, what my takeaway is that I'd encourage all of you all to to actually sit down and actually think about what the implications of that are. And right from the CEO down to the, the shop floor assistant, to embrace it and understand the implications on their jobs as they go forward in embracing it. Because you'll find all kinds, we had a store manager, we started a click and collect business in our store. And our store manager was, said, listen, this is going to cannibalize my sales. So I'd encourage you to do that. That's the takeaway.
Okay. From an eBay India perspective, we are very, very excited about the Indian market. We have been here 10 years. And today, the online penetration of this market is less than 1% of the total retail. But if we look at the most advanced market in the world, which is South Korea, that is about 15% of it is online. So we remain very excited about India. We remain excited about mobile, social, and all sorts of technologies and creating a borderless e-commerce world.
Thank you. Just one final comment. So building on what Raman was saying, so I saw a statistic a few weeks back which said if you look at the most popular social network site in the US today amongst teenagers, any guesses?
Snapchat.
Tumblr.
Okay, how many people here are on LinkedIn? How many people here on Facebook? How many people here on Twitter? How many people here on Snapchat? How many people here on Instagram? Pinterest? So that data basically said, if you look at spring 2013, the most popular site for teenagers was Facebook. 2014, it changed to Instagram. 2015, it's actually Snapchat. So one takeaway is, I think most of the people in this room are a couple of years behind where the trend is.
Yeah, the only thing is teenagers don't buy as much as...
That's the difference.
The money comes from the people in this room.
What was trending in 2013 for teenagers becomes mainstream 2015.
That I agree with you, and it's
so
the
get on it
mainstream that we
early.
need to care. I agree with you.
So get on it early. Watch what your kids, your nephews, your nieces are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we have the mic on, please? Thank you. I'd like to invite on stage once again Mr. Rajesh Khubchandani to please come on the dais and present the beautiful soulflower gifts to our panel members. Firstly, to our session moderator, Mr. Abhik Singhi. to our speakers, Mr. Govind Srikhande, Mr. Rajiv Nair, Mr. Jamshed S. Dabu, Mr. Raman Mangalorkar, Mr. Latif Nathani, and Mr. Kapil Hetam Saria. I'm also going to request you gentlemen to please come together for a group photograph.